Hello everybody, Graz here once again. Now this video is something a little bit different. They may not happen very often, but it's few and far in between. It's something different and we're going to try to see how it goes. Recently I had to get a new motherboard and processor because my other one got fried. This new one is actually an AMD Ryzen 7 1800X, proven by the box right here. It replaced my previous i7 7700K, and it's actually kind of nice. There's a lot of benchmarks out there, and this video is not going to be about the benchmarks and what's all out there. This is going to be a discussion video about my experience and how the performance differs. The i7 7700K is nice. It actually has a much higher base speed of 4.2 gigahertz, but at the same time, it's got 4 cores, and it's going to top out on each single core at 4.2 gigahertz. With this processor, it really wasn't, well, it turned out to be not geared for overclocking. It wasn't meant to be that way, but ultimately there was a manufacturing issue, and after a while Intel was like, these processors aren't good at overclocking, don't really do it, unless you got an expert setup. So I never overclocked mine, and it did the job for the most part. But now with the AMD, I've noticed that it's got a base clock speed of 3.6 gigahertz, but it also has something called precision boost to 4.0 or 4 gigahertz, regardless, and it's not bad. Actually, I'm having some really good experiences with this. Now, the reason being is, with the Intel, yeah, it had a much higher speed, or at least it had a higher speed of 4.2, but with more cores with the Ryzen, I'm seeing better performances in things like video editing, multitasking, especially when you have both Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Pro running. Even rendering has gotten somewhat better. Now again, the benchmarks are more in favor of the 7700K, but at the same time, it seems like you get more out of it with more cores with the Ryzen. Now since then, Intel has gone in and made the i9, which has a lot more cores, but those are really not consumer processors because the cost is exponentially higher than the 7700K. They can probably get the job done, but at the same time, you're going to have a lot of money to do so. Now, of course, AMD has their own variety in the Threadripper. Again, very expensive, but at the same time, it's also going to get you a lot of really good performance. And I've seen some YouTubers who do a lot of 4K streaming and things like that with these Threadrippers and the i9s, mainly the Threadrippers. I hear they have done really, really well. But when it comes to performance, I definitely have to say it's slower on a single clock speed, but when you have roughly, this has a base of 8 cores in it, and when you put the threads in there too, it's almost 16. And I've had no problems with this thing so far. Again, there's a little adjustment. Yeah, Intel kind of got a beat on this level, but at the same time, you really don't notice it. Especially when you start recording, especially when I use OBS. OBS actually runs pretty smooth with this. It doesn't kind of stutter or anything, and I notice, and this is a very slight differential in this, but I notice slightly less frame drops than I normally would have with the 7700K. So, would I recommend the Ryzen 7? Yeah, I would. It's actually, I'd say it's cheaper, but it's no longer the case. It's a little bit more expensive than the 7700K because Intel has since admitted there was an issue with the i7 7700K, and of course prices have dropped on that, but now they've got higher ranking processors as is. But at the time, it was i7 77 versus the 1800. Either way, my experience, kind of good with this. I could probably try to overclock it, but I don't really have any kind of water cooling setup with this. I'm actually going to a straight air-cooled setup, and I'm not really having any issues. The air cooler is actually doing a really good job. This is actually a Enermax ETS N31, and it's actually doing a job really, really good. Almost as good as my water block cooler did with the 7700K. And the thing with the 7700K was it didn't take much for that thing to overheat. Again, you couldn't overclock it, and even with a very demanding game going on, like if you played For Honor or something, it wouldn't be very long before that processor could potentially hit between 56 and 60 degrees Celsius. So it pushed the processor to almost to its heat limits. It's not far from it, but it warmed it up pretty good. With For Honor with this, it's roughly around the same area, but this is air-cooled with the Enermax, so it's holding up pretty good. I would like to test this with a water cooler, but I don't have a water cooling block for it, so that's going to have to be something that waits quite some time for it. But overall, my personal preference, is if I could go back and change it, I'd probably stick with the AMD. Again, this video wasn't about doing hard bench testing or anything like that. This is just basically a talk of my experience, and I feel like this is pretty good with the Ryzen 7. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents if you have to make the choice. Though again, I know we've seen Kaby Lake. I know Intel's got much higher since 7700K, just like AMD's got Threadrippers. So they've since moved on then. Again, it all depends on what you want. I would really recommend, though, the AMD because it's easier to keep cool even with an air cooler. Almost said air processor. An air cooler or air temperature cooling. Either way, it seems like it does a pretty good job with that than what Intel had with the 7700K. That seemed very finicky, and I'd be a little bit more worried about that. You would probably need a heavy-duty cooler with that, or air cooler with that, if you decided to go in that direction. Either way, that's my preference. And thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. I love to hear from you as always. Are you one of those lucky owners of the Threadrippers? I envy you, and tell me what your experiences are down below again. Anyway, please be sure to rate this video accordingly if you found it helpful or informative, both. Maybe, who knows, thumb it down if you didn't find it anything. Either way, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos coming in the future, not just videos like this, but gameplays, top 5s, other great things. We're expanding our horizons here. We're pushing out a little bit more further. I'll still be keeping up with Terraria, but we'll be pushing her horizons. Anyway, thank you so much. Have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll see you again next time with more content. The video's over, but there's more where that came from. Be sure to subscribe for more Terraria Let's Plays, top 5s, and other videos as well as we cover different titles. You can click on one of the videos here for more. Be sure to rate this video accordingly as it helps the channel out greatly. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I will see you again next time.